Hi y'all! Today I am going to be talking about two women's snowboarding boots that I have been trying on, trying to decide between for the upcoming season. Basically, I've been working with some boots that were way too big for me and really uncomfortable, and something needed to change. So I ended up trying out the K2 boots by Kinsley and the Karmyn boots by Ride. So I'm just gonna go through and talk about some of the features on each of the boots and like my first impressions trying them on, and then like kind of my second impressions, and like see how my impressions changed after wearing them for a little bit, and which boots I ended up going with and keeping, and which boots I'm gonna return and why. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. First boot is the K2 by Kinsley, and this is in a women's 9.5. That's my size. It's in the color black. That's the official color on the box, but it also has these little pink accent colors everywhere over here, which I really like. This also has the double boa system, so it has this boa on the side that tightens this arch area, the arch of your foot, and this upper boa that will tighten down the shaft of the boot on your calf. That's what I was really going for this time around. I wanted a double boa system so I could kind of, just for more adjustability, I could really kind of custom fit it to my own foot and leg. On the inside, I'm just gonna release these boas by popping them open and pulling the tongue down. This is a pretty common way of tightening the liner. It has one of those drawstring tighteners. Can you see? You just like pull it really tight while it's on your foot and pull this little gadget down. When you're ready, you just snap in the boa on the side and tighten to your liking. And try not to cut off your circulation. I'm real good at doing that. This guy. Wait, is it really tightened down? Yes. Oh, and it has this on the liner. It's like this really fuzzy gray. It's so soft. Oh, I wish you could feel it through the video. Underneath the boot, here's what you're seeing with the traction. So my first impressions with this boot is that it was super comfortable. As soon as I put it on, I was just like, wow, this is so much better. For context, my previous boots I had in like a size too large. I was wearing men's boots, which I don't know, I guess like, what's the real difference? But in the case of women's boots, some women's boots have more adjustability in like the calf area, because who knows why? Maybe women tend to have different shaped calves. I don't know. The boots I was wearing previously were way too large. My heel was lifting out like maybe 2 inches. Even when I tightened the boa down, I had the single boa system on my previous boots. So in order to keep my heel like kind of in place, which it didn't really work, I had to crank it down really tight to the point where like my legs would like ache and pulsate because I wasn't getting enough circulation. That's not good. It doesn't fit. If that's what you're experiencing with your boots right now, they're probably not the right size. I had to learn the hard way. First impressions, these are just super comfortable out of the box. The liner is so comfortable and so soft. Apparently they're kind of known for this, the Intuition liner. That's kind of, as far as I know, a separate brand. Like Intuition makes liners for all kinds of boots, but I think the Kinsley is also known for being pretty comfortable. It's definitely true to size. I'm a 9.5, this is a 9.5, so no need to size up or down. I wouldn't suggest it. And like my toe, when I was just standing straight up, would like kind of bend and touch the front of the boot, which for street shoes, like, ugh, no, that would be a recipe for discomfort. But in snowboarding boots, that's what you want it to do, because if you're standing, you know, okay, you can't even see. Basically, if you are standing up, your toes will be hitting the front a little bit, maybe even bending a little. It shouldn't be like painful, but it should be like, oh, I'm actually contacting the front of the boot. That way, once you get into like your riding stance where you bend your knees a little bit and go into like at least a partial squat, your toes actually pull back from the front of the boot just naturally. You'll feel it when you try on your boots. It just happens. That's a good fit where you're it's not like really crumpled once you're like actually in your stance, because that's how you're gonna be riding all day, right? You don't want your foot to be crumpled as you're riding, but you want it to be tight. Otherwise you're gonna the inside of the liner is gonna compact down the more you ride it, and then your foot's just gonna get even looser, and your heel's gonna start lifting up, which takes away from all of the control that you have over your board. Just the day gets like less and less fun really quickly. So you want a tight fit, but you still want it to be comfortable. Second and third impressions, I suppose, as I wore these on and off for like a few days around the house, I started to feel like there's roomier around the ankle area and then a little bit tighter in the toe area. Still, the shaft was really comfortable, but I almost felt like if I tightened it down, tightened the shaft down a little bit more to try to like cinch in the ankle area, it wasn't quite doing it as much as I needed to. So then my calf would just feel like really constricted, but I still had like a lot of room in my ankle area. They're pretty bendy too. I can't do it with my hands, but when my legs are in them, quite a bit of flexibility, not like way too much. That flexibility definitely lends to the comfort of the boot. So overall impressions, this is a super comfy boot. I really like it. I like the style. The inside of the liner is super comfortable. For me, I felt like there was almost like it was a little roomy around the ankle. I don't think it would have really been an issue. I haven't actually boarded in these because I have 2 pairs of boots to try on and I can't afford to keep them both. But overall, super comfortable, sturdy boots, a little bit of flexibility in there. So yeah, not the hardest boot that you could get, but not like wimpy and floppy. Boot number 2. Sorry, I've worn these, so that kind of gives it away because you see which one I chose. I think they're both good choices, but I did end up going with this one, and I'll get into why. Boot number 2 right here is the Karmyn by Ride. This is also in a women's 9.5, also true to size. This is in the color kimono, which is, what is the color kimono? My guess is it's because of this lining that's like kind of like this dragon sort of style. I do actually really like this lining. It's pretty cool, like this little dragon design on it. This is also the double boa system with the boa that tightens the lower part of the foot and the boa that tightens the shaft of the boot. So lots of adjustability there. It also has like this little like Velcro strap thing that hooks around here. I guess it's like to tighten it down a little bit extra. I don't know that it actually tightens it down that much more. To me, it almost looks more like a stylistic feature because the boa is really doing the heavy lifting. What I super love about, okay, there are a lot of things I love about this boot, but the liner, oh my gosh, this is also an Intuition liner, so same company as the previous boot that I just showed you, but there's so much adjustability. So first things first, it's a Velcro liner, so it opens up with a Velcro closure, which when I first saw it coming out of the box, I was like, are these like kids' shoes? But actually, it's so easy. Like for me, I get really cold hands on the mountain. To do anything that involves dexterity, I have to take them out of the mittens or wear gloves or just struggle. Like when you're pulling on those ties or like trying to tie boots, it's like hard to do when it's like freezing outside. So this is super easy to just like open up so fast. You don't have to have your hands. I can do it without taking my hands out of my gloves or mittens. I was kind of like, okay, Velcro, like is it gonna pop open like as I'm running around, bending over, doing things, getting really active? Is it just gonna like fall apart? Nope. Nothing has ever popped open. It's really strong. The Velcro is like on the outside, so it's not gonna mess up your socks and like make them all pilly either. Also in the back, there's this little tab. There's really hard to see on the camera, but there's a little bit of spandex on either side of this back bit, so it kind of like, if you have like a bigger calf, it can stretch and kind of move with you or contract. And this is part of the boot, not the liner, but let me see if I can open this. In here, inside of the shaft of the boot, right here on either side, that's also Velcro, so you can actually, I'm gonna mess up the fit of this boot now that I'm showing you, but undo this, and you can like pull back the back of the boot if you need more calf space, or you know, you can undo it and pull it in if you want to make it that tighter. Crazy, Velcro is like so strong, I always forget this, but it doesn't come out of place like when you're riding. So once you've adjusted, like so easy to adjust, but once you've adjusted it, it really stays in place. I did this like 2 days ago when I was on the mountain, and I was like tightening my boot down, and I was like, oh, I feel like my calf is like getting like too tight. Like I needed to tighten it a lot to get my heel into place, but my calf wasn't loving it. So just at the top of the lift, I just popped my boots open, popped the boa open, adjusted this Velcro, just gave myself a little bit more room, and then just like snapped the boa shut and closed it up again. It was really fast, and then I was like totally comfortable for the rest of the day. So love that feature. The interesting thing with this one also, as compared to the K2, I'm not gonna pull out these linings right now because they're so hard to get back in, but I ended up pulling out both liners and actually looking at the boa system on the inside of the boot. And I noticed the K2s, I'll grab that one, the K2s, the boa system, the way it attached to the inside of the boot, it really was just kind of like an arch over your arch, and this just kind of went around the shaft, so it was like almost like a 90-degree angle how these were attached to the boot. Whereas on this one, the upper boa definitely just kind of went around the shaft, but the lower boa that goes over your foot, it was actually kind of angled the way it's like strapped down, the way it's secured to the boot. Over here, like this is almost in a straight line down, but over here this wire goes down at an angle and attaches to the boot. So when I tightened it down, I really felt like this was pulling my ankle back and down towards the back of the heel of the boot, which is exactly what you want. That's where you want your heel to be, and it's gonna stop it from like lifting and pulling upward as you're maneuvering on the mountain. So I had a really snug fit. These are also way stiffer, in my opinion. Like I could immediately feel it when I put them on. It's like, oh, these are much stiffer, and that made me nervous at first because I was like, oh, it's like a little bit harder to walk, like in the parking lot, which is not what you're there to do, so who cares? It definitely felt stiffer, and that made me think, oh, these aren't as comfortable, or they're not gonna be as comfortable as the K2s. But as I tried them on and walked around the house more and more, this was much tighter around the ankle, which was a good thing for me, whereas this one was looser around the ankle, the K2s were looser around the ankle. The ride boots, while they were stiffer, my legs didn't fatigue in them in the same way. So in the K2, I kind of felt over time that like my ankle was a little bit looser, but it was almost tighter around the toe and maybe even the shaft. Whereas these, it felt like an even pressure all throughout my foot, all the way down to the toe. So the reason that I was also kind of sold on the stiffer boot is that with the stiffer boot, your board and your bindings are going to be more responsive to smaller movements because there's not as much play with your foot inside the boot. It's really like minute movements that you make with your boot when it's like really stiff and tight are gonna like translate to bigger responses from your bindings and your board. So I was like, okay, that's what I want. I was also working with like a board that was too small for me, but that's also been remedied. Maybe that should be a different video if people are interested. So I wanted my board to be more responsive. I wanted to have more control over what I was doing on the mountain. So I ended up going with these ones. I ended up going with the Karmyn by Ride, and I could not be happier with my choice. I think if I hadn't known about these and I'd never gotten to try them on, I would have been really happy with the K2s. But having the opportunity to compare them in real time, like side by side, or on one foot and the other foot at the same time, made me realize like these were not as comfortable right off the bat, but they ended up being more comfortable long term, which, you know, if you're going to the mountain, you're gonna be snowboarding, you're probably not gonna only do it for like half an hour. Oh, one thing I forgot is these also were warmer, and I think it's because they have this like carbon and like kind of like, was it aluminum, like that metal aluminum lining, almost like a safety blanket or an emergency blanket. So it reflects the heat back onto your foot. So I noticed that almost immediately as I wore that. I think it was like 10 minutes into wearing them both. I was like, my foot is way warmer. If you have like hot feet, maybe it doesn't matter, but for me, I like tend to run colder. That's awesome. It also has this Michelin rubber base, which is supposed to be like way grippier. Honestly, I didn't really notice the big difference with that, but whatever. Oh yeah, price-wise, because for me, that matters. The first boot that we talked about, these are actually last year's version. These are like the 2020 season boots. Full price, these last year models would be $269.95 USD. If you upgraded to like the 2020, 2021 year it's just like $10 more, so like $279.95. Karmyn by Ride are a little bit more expensive. These are $299.95. So I mean, by the time you're spending that much money, if you like these boots more, you should spend the extra $20. You can actually see how someone would like the softer K2 boots more. They're both good picks. The Karmyns by Ride were just a better choice for me personally. Always try it on for yourself. You know, nobody's feet and ankles are the same. So see what works best for you. I just wanted to share some of the reasons that I chose these guys, and I wanted to also share this boot before going ahead and returning it because I do think it is a great choice as well and super comfy. These just ended up taking the cake for me. Full disclosure, since I want to return these, I haven't actually worn them on the mountain, so I can't really like give you the extra mile review on those. Karmyn by Ride I have several times now, and these are my new favorite toy other than my new snowboard. Yeah, definitely worth it. I love the adjustability. I'm in love with this Velcro. This Velcro closure is a game changer. I'm in love with it. It makes everything so easy. I don't have to freeze my fingers off. I also don't have to like get rope burn as I'm like pulling the little like liner tightener things. So all these little features, like these little things actually add up for me. It makes a huge difference. And to like be on top of a lift line and be like, I need to adjust my boot because my legs are really hurting, and just to be able to like pop it open real quick, adjust this Velcro back area, and then just like tighten everything down and keep going, and that fixed the day. Like that's totally worth it to me. And to have warmer feet, but really for me it's like this whole boa system, the fact that the boa like goes down an angle that really cinches your ankle down so that it's not lifting, and then just like the even pressure throughout the foot so that nothing starts aching or tensing up or like loosening too much during the day. And just like really this like liner and like the adjustability in the calf area, just, I don't know, I'm in love. So I hope this little review helped. I was definitely rambling a little bit, but I'm just so excited about these boots and I'm really excited about the ones that I'm ending up keeping, which once again, it's the Karmyn by Ride. I hope that this can help somebody make a decision about maybe which boot they might want to go with and why, or you know, even if you're looking at a different brand, like what different features might look like or feel like. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm super excited about these, so I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. And yeah, I hope you have a great season.